Good day, grade 8 students. Welcome to English class. I am teacher Arnel, always ready to learn and to give you learning. Today we will talk about appreciating or overall artistic value of the structure and elements of the selection. You have to become a structuralist or formalist. A literary selection or story depicts real-life events, non-fiction or imaginary, which is fiction, which means happenings. It is used to entertain, teach life lessons, convey meanings, or make readers aware of important human conditions. For a writer to successfully convey a story's message, he or she uses elements such as characters, setting, plot, conflict, and theme. These elements are keys to a good story. When readers can successfully identify and understand how these elements are presented and used in a story, they begin to appreciate the work a lot better. The basic element of a story is the character. A person, animal, or thing that is personified in a story is called a character. A character can either be a protagonist or an antagonist. A protagonist is a central character in a story. All major events in a story involves the protagonist. The antagonist, on the other hand, is usually the enemy of the central character. A good policeman who defends innocent people can be an example of a protagonist in a story, while the bad guys who go against and good policemen are the antagonists. Moreover, characters in a story can either be dynamic or static. For instance, an antagonist can be a dynamic character that changes from being evil to being an ally of the central character towards the end of a story. A dynamic character, in other words, is one that changes the story. A character that remains the same or does not undergo changes during the story is called a static character. Another important element of a story is the setting. The place, time, weather conditions, social condition, and mood or atmosphere of a story are generally called setting. It tells the readers where, the place, and when, include the time, weather condition. The story happened. Commonly, stories begin with the opening statements like one warm day in a village called Hermosa and blah blah blah. Note that the word warm is referred to the weather condition when the story happened. The word day indicates the time. The Hermosa village is the place setting. Moreover, the setting allows the readers to picture the characters' daily lives or social condition. The reader's feelings or the mood or atmosphere felt as they read the story are also part of the setting. The plot is the main structure of a story because it details how the series of events are presented. It comprises 5 parts: introduction or the exposition, rising action, then we have climax or the turning point, falling action and resolution or the denouement, and the introduction or the exposition, the character, background, the setting are revealed. In the rising action, events in the story become complicated and the conflict is revealed. The climax or the turning point is the most exciting part of the story. In this stage, the protagonist takes on significant decision that will change his or her fate. When the event and complications in the story start to fall into the right places, the story is said to have reached the falling action. The outcome of the story is called resolution or denouement. A story usually has problems or complications, generally called conflict. There are 2 types of conflicts. We have internal and external conflicts. When a character conflicts with oneself, the complication happens within the character, thus called internal conflict. On the other hand, when the conflict happens between a character and another character, or the character versus the character, a character and the environment, or the character versus the nature. Then the third one is a character and customs and practices, or the character versus society, or the type of conflict is external. The central message of the lesson in a story is called theme. It lingers throughout the story. Simply put, since it is the central message that the writer wants to convey to the readers, it is repeatedly presented in the story. A story theme can be expressed in a sentence, but sometimes the author leaves it upon the readers to discover. In identifying the story's theme, the readers should be keen to differentiate it from a subject. It should be remembered that the theme is a message from the author and not the subject or topic of a story. To forgive is better than to live in regrets is an example of a theme, while forgiveness is an example of a subject. A story is presented to the reader following a structure. This structure is called a plot. The plot shows the order or sequence of events. It tells the reader which event happens in the beginning, middle, or end of the story. The plot has 5 parts: the introduction or the exposition, the rising action, climax or the turning point, falling action, and resolution or the denouement. Using freeze tags, pyramids, the flow of events and emotions in a story may be traced. In the beginning part of the story, the characters and setting are simply introduced. As events begin to be entangled, the story starts to become more interesting to the readers. When the story moves to the middle part, events get interesting. The readers start to feel excited, thrilled, and engrossed to find out what might happen next. The instant events start to fall into their right places. Emotions may once again be a calmness or ease. The end part of the story is the conclusion or the tying together of all loose threads. So that ends our topic about what is it? Yeah, about this part of the story or the elements of the story. So once again, this is Teacher Arnold, always saying the world is a big classroom for you to learn. Therefore, don't stop learning because learning is everywhere. Thank you and goodbye.